Welcome to OTS Part 2, where we'll have a look at a little bit more of the features in OTS for you. We'll look at things like how to create a bit of a template, how to actually import your file information into OTS so you actually have a playlist. As you can see at the moment we have no tracks in our library at all. As far as OTS is concerned, there is no music at all to play. We need to tell OTS where our music is and to sort it into the categories, etc. Now, because we've categorized each track individually, we'll be able to find that fairly easy. Now, the first process, of course, is to go up to File, Import Refresh Files for Media Library. Okay. You've got a number of options there. The only one you really need to worry about is the Import Refresh folder. Import Refresh files is just for doing a few files. We want to do them a folder at a time. And of course you've got the include the subfolders. If we take that out, it will only import the folders we select. With the tick in there, it will import the folders inside the folder we select. Okay, we select the Import Refresh folder, and we're given this little menu. We now need to find our music, which is situated here, and we'll just bring in the CDs at this stage to keep things fairly simple and quick. And we say OK, and it'll told us that we've done it already. See, all done. I need to turn that volume down so I can hear. You won't get it on the recording, of course, but I've got it going in my ear, so I need to keep turning it down. Obviously, while you're doing a show or something, you would leave that up there. You don't need to change this section. As I said, I just need to drop it down so I can hear myself talking. Now, it's imported the files, and if you have a look, we've got 2,500 odd tracks there. But they're all uncategorized, and of course all items will show everything. Uncategorized and all items. I like using the all items just to make sure I've got everything covered. Now these all need to be categorized. If you have a look in 80s, there's nothing there. If you have a look in the rock, there's nothing there. There's nothing in any of them at all. Okay, just the uncategorized one. We need to categorize them, and to do that we right click, and you can right click anywhere in this area. It doesn't matter where, just so long as it's in this area. Right click and up to select, and select all, so you'll see that they've all been selected. Again, right click anywhere within this area, and we get our menu back again, and we go to category, and we assign gender information. Okay, this will categorize all our tracks for us. We click on that, and we get our little message, and you say yes. And because we've started and it's created new categories, OTS doesn't have a category called yes, and it's asking me if I want to create it. I say yes. We now have a male one, yes. Female, yes. 1960s, yes. Group, yes. Now you don't need to do this for each track. You only need to do it once. Once it's found the Australian category, every other time it comes across Australian, it will put it in there. It's just that it's creating a new category. And if you watch the percentage, see it's done 2% of the files, 8%, 9%. You'll watch it whip through the last of it there fairly quickly. Now, we've categorized it. We now need OTS to put it into those categories, and we do this by clicking on this little button here. Click there, and you'll notice that they've all gone out of the uncategorized area into their individual sections. If we go to the 80s, I don't have any in the 80s. We have some in the males though. We should have some in the groups, some in the Australian, and so on. So we're ready to play. we've got our saves all categorised. The one thing you really should do is when you get to this stage, I'll get rid of those out of there because we don't want them, and we'll stop that. You really should at this stage now save the file, and it'll ask you where. This is the default file, same name in the default folder, safest place to save it, and we've now got all of that information saved so that next time we start odds up it will have it all. Fairly easy. I'll do that once more. We want to add some more tracks, so we do the same process. We go to import refresh files to media library, import refresh folder, and we'll add in some single LPs. Okay, and away they go. It's just added another 399 new tracks. And if we go to the uncategorised area, we'll find there's 399 tracks there. Again, right click, select all, right click again, and categorise, assigned by gender information, yes, and it's all done. If we click on here, they'll have all been put into their appropriate categories, whether it be in the 1980s, where we've got a few Wham ones there. Look at that. Not a problem. Groups, done. Okay, and that's all there is to setting up the categories. Now that we've updated it, we should really save it again. File, media library, save. Okay, and of course you can then start playing away your tracks. Play that. Bring that volume down there as well, and so on. You're ready to play. Now, further really interesting bit, we're now going to create a template. We're going to need to create, the next 4 hours we've decided we're going to go with. So what we do is we go up to this button here which says generate playlist. Okay, you click on that and you're given this window here. Okay, the area that is interest at this stage is that we want to replace the existing playlist, so we have a dot in there. This one here inserts the playlist at the beginning of any existing playlist, so it will go in at the top here and put these tracks at the end of it. Add to the end, which means the new playlist will get added to the end of it, but we'll just replace the existing one. Now we need to select what we want actually in the playlist, and this is where the template builder comes in. That's this one here, template builder. We have this one here. Now the first thing we need to do is we need to decide what tracks we want to include within that 4-hour range that we're going to play. So we have the categories that we want to include, we set them here, and we're going to have some let's have some males. And let's have some 60. We'll go with 60s. Now, they're the ones, the categories that the songs will be selected from. Right? But we do not want any Australian males. So we'll go here to the exclude items and we select Australian. Okay, that means that we will now get all of the male tracks from the 1960s, or all males and all tracks from the 1960s, but not Australian. Okay, the rating one here, leave it as it is. It is, each track you have there can be rated from a number from 1 to 10, or 0 to 10 actually. Nobody at the station does it, and I don't bother with it because too many other people can fiddle with it. The next one down is how often do you want these tracks to appear? Okay, we've got males. So we've got Elvis. But we don't want Elvis to be played 3 or 4 tracks in a row. This section here separates them. And we've got 20 of that at the moment. I'm going to decrease it down to 10. This says do not play an Elvis track within 10 tracks of the last one played. It could be more, it could be 10, it could be 11, it could be 12, but it won't be any less than 10. Okay. The next one is to do with the song title. I set that as 10 too. The chances of that ever happening are very slim. Now, the next one down is a section that allows you to say, I don't want anything that's been played in the last days or hours. You can have days, you can have weeks, you can have years if you want to, but we'll stick with hours and we'll leave it at 12. Anything that hasn't been played in the last 12 hours, we don't want to know about. So when it makes its list up, if it's been played in the last 12 hours, it'll ignore it. This section here, leave as it is. It has to do with the way it selects tracks. Just hang on a sec while I turn the music off. Stop that. I can't turn it off at this moment. I'm just going to have to keep talking. This section here affects how the tracks are selected. It's set to 100% random, so that will be the priority that it uses to select the tracks at random. It only has a 20% priority on the rating of the song, which is this one up here, right? And there's an 80% priority on when it was last played. This determines the actual generation of these, or how it selects its tracks. Now, we said we only wanted a track for 4 hours, so we'll change this here to 4. This section here determines how long the track will be for, and it'll be for 4 hours. I'm going to have to turn that sound off. We'll build the template as it is for... Okay, now I can hear. We'll go back to building the template. Template builder. We'll set for male tracks from the 60s. We do not want any Australian. The rating we're not going to worry about. We've dropped these back to 10. This one here we're going to leave at 12. We're not going to worry about this. We're changing this to 4. Now we were down to here. This section here, it indicates station ID inserts, right? Now the idea here is that you can select how often you want station IDs inserted. We'll say that we do, and we'll go with every 5 tracks. Now, it does stay station IDs, but over here you have a category selection, which means it doesn't necessarily have to be a station ID. This section is where I would have put in the promos, the sponsors, the IDs, etc. But because I don't have any of them listed here, I'm going to go with Australians. So every 5th track or every 6th track will be an Australian track. And that is the template builder. Now we build that template. We now have it here, and we can save it as playlist number 1. Save. We want to override it, yes. Okay. Now if we generate this playlist, it will replace what's there with what we've just selected. And if you have a look down there, we've got a selection of males, and every so often we'll get an Australian. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Australian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Australian. Johnny Reb's an Australian. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Australian. But you'll notice there are no Australians, or there shouldn't be any in between. And that's the way it will go all the way down for the whole 4 hours. Okay. Now, as I said, at the station you would probably have a station ID or a promo or something there. That is the limitations of the template as it is. But I'll throw this in as well. What you can do is you can go to the template here. And what we will do is we will copy that line there with a copy. And we will insert it there. Paste it. Okay, because what we're going to do is we're going to change this number here first to 7, which is the 7th track. And we're going to change this here to group. No, actually, we'll put female in. So after the Australian, we will get a female track. Okay. And we should be able to save that as, and we'll save it as number 3. Save it. Save your templates. Okay, now if we generate this template, we'll have a look. We've got Tina Turner there. Okay. Now if we go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number 6, Cole Joy, Linda Ronstadt, Eric Clapton, Stevie Wonder, Gene Pitney, Buddy Holly, Bobby B, Billy Thorpe is Australian, and Emmylou Harris, female. And it will go on down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Cole Joy, Julie Garland. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Stevie Wonder and Billy Joe Spears is a female. And so it will go on down the rest of the list. Now, of course, if you go back to the template, we can further edit that. And if I'm lucky, I might just be able to paste that back in there again. Paste, yes. Change that 6 to an 8. And we'll put in... let's try 1960s. I don't know how many 1960s we had there. 1960s. And generate that. We now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. There's Billy Thorpe. Marvin Gaye was the 60s. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. John Farnham, Neil Sinatra was in the 60s. You can see what's done. That's just a little bit of useful information that you might find handy at some stage in being able to edit the template. But just worry about the actual template builder, which is, of course, you include whatever you want here. So you select here whatever you want to be in your template. The exclude one, you select here what you do not want to be played in your template. The rating one I leave as, because as I said, nobody takes much notice of it. This one here determines how many tracks are played before the same artist is repeated again, and the title. This one here determines what tracks will be selected. If it's been played in the last 12 hours, it won't be selected. And of course, you can change that to 24 hours, or you can go for 24 days. This one here, again, leave it pretty much as it is, because it's fairly well set as random selection. The ratings is this number up here, and the last played is this section here. Right, and of course the length of your playlist, and as I said, this is designed for station IDs and promos and whatnot. Then you just simply click on the build template, and you've got a template there. You then save it and generate it, and away you go. And of course, once you've built a template, you can always go up here to template and load. So we load the template, say open and generate. And there it is, ready to go. Okay, you do that bit again. You go up to template, load your template, that one there, open it up, generate it, and there it goes. And that is pretty much all there is to it. That's how you do your templates. Now, the other little thing we've got will improve the search features. Over here, you were able to go to the different categories via the male, country, and so on. But you can also choose to have, I want a female from the 60s. So I can go 1960s and FEMALE and press enter. And there we are. The only one we've got in the 60s is Connie Francis. So let's try changing the female to male. MALE from the 60s, and we get quite a few. See, all the Marvin Gaye ones are in the 60s. The Nielsen Arca. Alright, that narrows your field down a little bit better. And that is that section there. What we will now look at is, if for some reason or other we had some uncategorized tracks here, or we wanted to change some of the categories, we can edit it from within OTS. For example, we can take Shania Twain will do. If you double click, we're brought up this window here which tells us about the track. It tells us where we've categorised. We've categorised it in the 2000s. It's female. I don't have Jeff on there though. Let's put the Jeff in. We can set it here by clicking on that and refreshing the window and refreshing from the file, which is no point. Now, doing it this way only affects the actual file that we saved. That's the file that we saved up here. Save. That information has only been saved in that file, which means that if we lose that file and we have to create it again, we need to go back to this track and we need to go up here and redo all of this. Right? Now, if you've got a few thousand tracks in there that you've got to do that with, it can take an awful long time. Now, if we wanted to do that and make it permanent, we need to actually edit the file itself. And to do that, we go to the Edit in OTS Studio, which brings up this little program here, which is the one that we use for importing the music from the CDs or converting the MP3s to OTS format, etc, etc. And you'll see that we've got the female in 2000s there. If we click there and type a comma and type in JEFF and we save that, save. That information has now been saved with the file. So wherever the file goes, that information will go with it. Okay, so we can close that off and we can exit it and we can close it. Okay, we'll have a little bit more look at the OTS Studio in another session. Okay, we'll do that once more again with this one here. You open that up and we've got the information about the track. You go to the Edit in OTS Studio and we type in comma JEFF and click on File and Save to save the information, and we go to Close, File and Exit and close again. I'll do it one more time. Double click there we want to put the Jeff on here. We need to edit in Oz Studio, and I'm going to have to turn that off. Every time I open this up, it keeps starting the track up, so I need to turn that off. So it won't keep starting the track up on me. Now, we can put our comma, JEFF, and file, and save. Always save it. Now those tags there, the genuines, are now with the file itself. Close. And they will now end up in the Jeff category as well. They will find their way into... where are we? Where are you? We're in Jeff anyway. Oh. Refresh it. Okay. All items. 3002. In Jeff we have 29, so there's a few missing. That's alright, we'll get them in there. Now once you've done that, once you've I'll go back to all items to save trouble. When you've done that, you need to recategorize everything again to put those ones into the new categories. So it's gone through them again and redone them. So if we go to the Jeff one, we'll find that it's increased a little bit to put those new ones in that we just tagged. Alright, and that is pretty much it for that section. Okay.